Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Nothing. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. It's the MKN TV mics, man. It's always something. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Mic check 1 2. Alright, well, let me know when you're ready, man. We'll go in your queue. Alright. I want to cut off Tony Peraica's balls. He's been talking down to white people. I want to cut his balls. And I want to hit him on the table with a bat, with a spike bat. Like, blah. About 20, 25 times. Blah, 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 blah. Then I want to run his balls to a cheese grater and put them into a pot and mix his balls with turkey broth. Then I want Tony Peraica's balls to simmer for about 20 minutes into a fine stew, stirring periodically in between the 20 minutes. Then I want to take Tony Peraica's balls too and feed it to the poor. He's been talking down to white people. I want to cut his balls.
Yeah, man, I get the picture, man. I hope everything works out for you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Noizemakers, a talk show of hip-hop, politics, and entertainment. On this episode, we want to give you an inside look at a really exciting race here in Cook County, the race for Cook County State's Attorney. And we're meeting here today with the esteemed Republican candidate, Mr. Tony Peraica.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on. Good to be seen. Good to see you as well.
Thanks.
Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, how you got started. I think you have a really interesting bio that can really relate to a lot of our audience. So tell the people a little bit about yourself and how you got started in politics and why you want this job.
Sure. I'm a classic American story. I came here orphaned at the age of 13. My parents died by the time I was 11. My aunt brought me here in 1970 to Chicago from Croatia. I didn't speak the English language at all. I had to learn everything from ground zero. Right. I educated myself, worked through high school, college, law school, started my own law practice, and have been practicing law now for 25 years. I married a Pakistani Muslim. Here, a Roman Catholic marrying a Pakistani Muslim. Where else but in Chicago can you do something like that?
Absolutely.
And we've been married now in January. It'll be 30 years. We have two children. My son is 27. My daughter is 22. And I was always passionate about politics. Having been born in a communist country, I appreciate deeply democracy that we enjoy here in the United States.
Absolutely.
And as you know, converts are always more passionate than the natural born.
Yes.
And I felt all along that those who are given much, much is expected of them.
Absolutely.
And I felt at a certain point in my life that I need to give back to the community, to the country that made me who I am. And therefore, I got involved in politics in the early 90s, started running for office, but for 10 years I wasn't successful in getting elected because my name wasn't Daley or Madigan or Hines. You know, I didn't come from, or Stroger, from a pedigree family. I had to earn my way through, and after a couple of losses, I was finally elected in 2002 as a county commissioner. And then I ran for county board president in '06 and narrowly lost that election. And now I'm a candidate for Cook County State's Attorney in 2008, and I would urge all your viewers to come out and vote on November 4th because it is extremely important as to who occupies that office in particular.
I was born and raised here in the city of Chicago. I grew up in the Pilsen neighborhood, and presently I am, you know, a diehard White Sox fan. Will you let me say that?
Yeah, I will let you say that.
I have been my entire life.
Absolutely.
I am the mother of 4 children, working mom. And I have spent my entire legal career at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, 22 years I have been there. And I have decided to enter this race because for me, It's really not a political decision.
Absolutely.
For me, it's a career step to be able to have the chance to head this office.
So for our audience, we try and serve all of Chicagoland, but we especially want to reach as many of the Black and Latino youth of the community as possible.
Right.
So how does the Office of Cook County State's Attorney, how does that matter into their everyday lives? Like, why should they care who the state's attorney is?
This office of Cook County State's Attorney is the most important office as far as particularly young African American and Latino men are concerned. Because if you look at the population in Cook County Jail right now, as we sit here tonight, there are 10,000 people incarcerated, detained at 2016 California. And 90% of the people who are incarcerated there are African American. 5% are Latino and 5% are Caucasian, white. When you consider in particular that African Americans only make up 25% of the population of Cook County, and you have 90% of the population at Cook County Jail be African American, something is wrong here. Certainly. When you consider that 90% of the victims in the criminal justice system of Cook County are African American and Latino, something is wrong here. Right. And the state's attorney's office is one who decides who is going to be approved for felony charges, misdemeanor charges, who's going to be arrested or not arrested, and how they're going to be processed.
Absolutely.
And there has been here for numerous years, over several decades in fact, a policy where self-abusers, those who abuse themselves with drugs and or alcohol, and are not committing person-to-person crimes, property crimes, or selling drugs for profit, but are simply abusing themselves. Right. They have been charged with felonies because of multiple offenses, possession of cannabis, possession of contraband, and have been warehoused because they can't put up a $100 or $500 bond and are kept there for years sometimes as their case is penned through this slow criminal justice system. So I think that this office, more than any other, has the immediate effect on how we prosecute crime in Cook County. How do we make sure that police brutality is checked, does not occur, and when it occurs that it's prosecuted aggressively against those who abuse citizens. Right. And we can just remember John Burge, where 200 men were tortured into confessing crimes that they didn't commit, and were brutally beaten and electrocuted in some cases, electroshocked to extract confessions, false confessions from them. And of course, selective prosecution, the political element that always permeates and right. colors who gets prosecuted, who gets let go, who gets let go. As for example, a recent case where a police officer who was driving intoxicated, drunk, John Ardeleon, who killed 2 young Hispanic men, was charged with misdemeanor negligent driving, whereas if you and I were in that situation, we'll be looking at 2 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. Definitely. So there is this selective justice, there's this political element that colors and clouds every decision, and people have lost trust in the criminal justice system, court system in general, and certainly the office of the chief prosecutor, which always looks at where you come from and what organization you belong to and who is your sponsor, rather than simply making decision on the basis of the law and the
Absolutely.
Facts.
Absolutely.
I think that everyone should care who the state's attorney is, but particularly in minority communities, because for a lot of different reasons. I've been doing this job now for 22 years, and we are the voice of the victims of crime in court. And I know who my victims are. Absolutely. My victims are minorities. My victims are Black. They are Hispanic. I have seen all too often young African Americans shoot each other in gang-related homicides, young Latinos killing each other in gang-related homicides, and we handle those cases. So we touch everyone's community, particularly minority communities. But I think what you want, and what's important to every community, is to have someone that you can trust heading this office, someone who is going to make the right decisions, someone who will make charging decisions for the right reasons, based on evidence, not for political reasons. And this office has a lot of power to convene a grand jury, a power to indict. Those are awesome powers. And so you don't want that to end up in the wrong hands.
Absolutely.